Hi everybody, this is Jim and Sarah from Galaxy Construction, Frank Williams from Jersey Boys Painting, and also our special guest speaker here is Harry Hurley from the Hurley Morning Show. We're coming to you from the world famous Capri restaurant in Northfield, and we're going to be fielding some questions today from you guys, the consumers, and Harry's got some questions for us, and we're going to be doing some good things today. Harry, we're starting off with you, Harry.
Great to be on your show.
Thank you.
Jimmy and Frank. I love it. This is nice being a guest.
Thank you.
And now you are the host. What I love in you're developing an audience. I know this is the 4th episode of Beyond the Build. You have a wonderful remote studio here. And my friend of almost 50 years. We go back, Rocco Giuliano and I go back probably more than 50 years. We go back to when the Golden Nugget in Atlantic City opened. We've been friends for that long. Let me just say, a shameless plug, my favorite pizza on planet Earth, Capri Pizza and Italian Grill. And I will tell you, in Northfield, right on Tilton Road, if you know where our broadcast center is, we share a common driveway, if you will. If you came to the radio station, you could get right here to Capri Pizza and Italian Grill. And my guest in the 8 o'clock hour, right before Jimmy and Frank, said that your calamari is the best that he has ever had, and he enjoys the calamari salad that you put together, commented on taste, texture, presentation, everything. So this has been my official pizza and Italian Grill for half a century. So it's great to be here. This is where we are. And Jimmy, thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming on, Harry. We're going to talk about some good stuff today. We have a couple of customers, consumers that have called in and asked some questions that we fielded, and we're going to answer your questions. Foundations, we're going to talk about foundation structure, and we're also going to talk about the comparison between a hot water tank list and a hot water tank. The comparisons as far as the longevity of what you get out of the tanks, the difference in the temperature in the waters, and what will last you longer, and what's cheaper to operate. So
I love both topics.
With that, Harry.
One of them is a convenience, and it's also a potential cost saver. The other one is downright serious. So the gentlelady that wrote in to Jimmy and Frank's program about foundation issues, Jim, how do you know when a foundation issue is cosmetic or when you might have a serious structural issue that could damage, the home could have great damage to it?
Normally, because we do a lot of foundation, we do poured concrete foundation most of the time on our builds. And if you get like a stress crack or a hair crack, if it's only on one side of the foundation, then we could just grind that out and fill it. That's not a problem. But if the crack goes all the way through the foundation, now we got a problem. Now we're going to have to re-support that, and we'll have to grind it out, fill it, and then re-support it, which I will talk about that, give you guys a couple ideas on what I think we should do with the foundations.
What are some of the reasons why you would develop cracks in the foundation?
Most of the time, it's just settlement cracks. Most of the time, we pour the concrete, and a lot of time we put the rebarb in there, half-inch rebarb. We usually go 16 inches on center all the way around, and then we normally, I always tell my concrete guys when we're pouring for foundations, we go 4,000, at least 4,000 psi. Most of the time 4,000. Sometimes we'll raise it 5,000 psi. If it's in the wintertime, we'll throw some fiber in there to try to make the concrete a little more sturdier in the wintertime so it cures. And that, most of the time, will, solidify the cracks. And we try to make it at least 12 inches width of the concrete on the pour.
And Jim, that is not going to go away by magic. If you notice these cracks, early detection is the best, right?
Yes. The cracks will normally happen within the first 3 to 6 months. And once you see a crack, you call us, we come back and we fix it. If it's a crack on one side, we'll grind it out, Harry, and we'll fill it. If it's a crack all the way through, then we'll grind it out on both sides, fill it, and then we'll actually throw some supports in there. There's a couple ideas that I would recommend on that. You know, if you have a foundation where the foundation is faltering, and you know it's a new build, normally I would have my concrete guy come back and reframe it and report. Break that section out, reframe it, and report. That's what we do if it's a new build. If it's something that's existing, you buy an old house. A customer was asking me, he bought an old house and he had block. He didn't have poured concrete, and he had structural damage. What I told him to do is I told him to put pillars. The length of the area where the structural damage was. He had like a lot of different estimates what they were telling him to do. But what I told him to do, and it worked, and he's really happy with it, is I told him to build pillars in that, like say the wall is 30 feet, every 10 feet put a pillar of block. So what he would do is he would put like three courses of block, the width, and then go right up against the wall. He would put the screen on the wall, put the block about an inch from the wall, and then pour the concrete behind the block, so the block will catch the concrete on the screen, and that'll adhere to that. And then put your rebar right in the block, pour your concrete in the block, and then that wall's not going anywhere.
You know what I've seen people have a problem with, Jim, and it's through no fault of their own. Groundhogs just decide to come and make a home in your neighborhood. They can get under your house. They can cause unbelievable damage. They love to get under sheds and things like that. So if you have something like that, you could easily have a foundation problem occur.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Anything like that does digging can cause a problem if they get underneath the footing, you know, and if they do it in more than one place, that could cause structural damage. In a situation like that, what we would do is we would dig down to the bottom of the footing and re-support it. Re-support it on both sides and get underneath the footing, report, and do a section at a time. And then that would shore up the footing and the foundation.
I'm used to usually posing questions and not having questions posed to me. So I'm just wondering, I know that I have the honor of being here on Beyond the Build with Jim and Frank in episode 4. How's the show going so far?
The show's going great. We're doing fabulous. We're getting a lot of good feedback, and that's what we want. That's the whole reason why we're doing the podcast, is to try to educate the consumer on different phases and aspects of the construction world. This way, you guys you know what's going on. You know, because basically, from what I say from over the years of being in the business, everybody really don't know what's entailed into doing a job or what needs to be done. So trying to bring that to everybody, Frank and I.
And here's something that I have watched you and Frank do, because we've been working with each other even longer than the new podcast, that you grasp the fact. Frank's been on national home improvement television. You grasp the fact that construction projects in the home and being media savvy, doing radio like you do on our show, doing your own podcast, it's really compatible. It not only can help you build your business, but it really helps with the relationship building about what your vocation is all about.
Absolutely. Like I always say, like I'm doing a home for a customer right now, and she just told me yesterday that the project's taking a little longer than what she expected. And I explained to her that's the reason why. The reason why you think it's taking a little longer is because you really don't know what's involved. And when I explained to her, take a look at it and see all the scope of work that we have done to your property, and then look at it and let me know if you think we're taking too long. After she thought about it, she said, you know what, I just realized you really redid our whole house. So things take time when when you're redoing things, and you got to get inspections, because everything you do, you have to get an inspection. It takes time. Things got to get done correctly. It's got to pass an inspection. It's not like you just do something and then forget about it. You got to pass inspections.
And I can attest to that. That is what Jim does at Galaxy Construction One. You do things the right way. You build the relationship. And what I've always learned is, for example, say you do someone's bathroom, you put in one of your beautiful Mediterranean style freestanding showers. You take a old tub out, put the new shower in, you make the home safer, you make the restroom look brand new, the bathroom, and you do such a great job with that. That person will then, the next time they need something, they don't go searching. They know who to call.
Well, that's exactly it, Harry. You put a very good point on. We just did a deck for some gentleman, customer, and after we did the deck, he's so happy with the deck. Now he told me, he goes, I know you guys are really busy. He says, I have a ton of things here. What do you do? I said, we do everything from A to Z. Anything with construction, we do electrical, plumbing, HVAC, heating and air, painting, sheetrock work, framing, whatever you need, we do it all. And he just gave me a list of like 5 things what he needs done. And I told him that, we're going to get back to him and we're going to start doing, knocking things off the list.
Let me bring up something that I think is really important, and it is this. Because many times people have contracted with the contractor of your choice, and you think you've got it all nailed down, the job is done beautifully, and you get to what I call the picture frame. That's the painting, the finish at the end. That individual or that company can ruin your entire job. What I learned early on about Galaxy Construction One, Jim Massaro and Frank Williams of Jersey Boys Painting and Power Washing is you are a team. So when you contract Jim, you get Frank.
Absolutely.
So then there's no mystery. You know that the end of the job is going to look as good as the construction phases of the job. Talk about the importance of that relationship.
When Frank and I got together, Frank was like the missing piece. For years, I was searching for a good finisher, a good painting company, and I went through about 15 of them over the course of 20 plus years. And I met Frank, and Frank is just like I am. He's attention to detail. His guys, every single one of his guys, is his pet peeve. Frank's pet peeve is when his guys got to cut the ceiling in, it's got to be picture perfect. And that was the first thing I noticed when I watched, I looked at his work. So it just complements my company. Frank and I are sister-in-law. Frank does all my finish work, and he does a lot of different things. He does painting, he does sheetrock, he does epoxy floors. He does a lot. And it really brings a lot to my company. And Frankie, you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because and Jim, I have to say, I mean, credit to you. It's been a pleasure coming on board with you.
It has.
And I'll tell you, because I've been around 13 years in that carpet township, and I worked with many builders, many contractors, and knowing, okay, well, I have this job for you, and I'm going to use the other painter on another job. So what I'm trying to say is that a lot of builders, and this is what's good about us, is they use all different painters. Whoever, it fits in their budget. Where me and you, we're together.
We're together, that's it.
So, like you said, you're going to hire, you're going to hire, you're going to get the same guy.
Absolutely.
And I think that's important.
Well, that's the main thing. When somebody calls and they hire Galaxy Construction, they're going to hire Galaxy Construction, and you can count on Jersey Boys Painting to be in there and do your finish work. We're like cornflakes in the milk, right?
Absolutely.
Now, another of your great viewers brought up a question that I wrestled with 15 years ago. I gave thought, and I had heard about this new product called a tankless water heater. At least it was new to me. Maybe it was newer even back then. Maybe it had been around a lot longer than I know. But all of a sudden, I gave thought to, why am I heating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, water in this tank? That once that's gone, I know that it kind of keeps up as it goes, but you're just paying for something you're not using. So I looked into what's called a tankless water heater, and I've had one now. I'm in probably the 15th or 16th year. I happen to have the model called Navian. A lot of people seem to like it. Somebody that I trusted told me get that one. It's been beautiful. I will say, if you have well water, you do want to pay attention to making sure that there's no buildup, because you could wind up wrecking the unit way before it's time, because well water it's a lot tougher than some of the city water that you might deal with. So, Jim and Frank, I went tankless 15, 16 years ago, and I've never looked back. Now I get my hot water on demand, and it's not heating water when you don't call for it. I don't know if it's now the go-to product, or if people just default and stay with the old-fashioned, the traditional tank version. Your thoughts about this, Jim?
Yeah, every house that we're building right now, everybody's asking me for tankless. And the reason why, this is like a fallacy. Some people say, oh, the tankless is no good. Stick with the tank because it's better. And you know, the tankless, it's going to clog up on you. It's not going to last. I can tell you, I've been putting them in now for over 20 years, and I haven't had one call back in 20 years. The tankless, in my opinion, professional, is the way to go. Because let me explain why. When you got a tank, a 40-gallon Bradford White, for example, and you got a tank, you need gas going to the tank and you need electric going to that tank. That every time that water dips down below a temperature in the tank, Harry, the gas is going to kick on, the electric's going to kick on to keep that water warm. That normally happens like probably every 30, 40 minutes. Now, in the dead of winter, it's going to happen every 15, 20 minutes because the tank is going to get cold and the temperature of water is going to drop. So you got your gas and your electric going off and on, off and on, off and on, all the time. You're burning gas and electric. Versus the tankless. The only time you use gas and electric is when you use the unit. Now, there is tankless. A customer just sent me a question. Is there an electric tankless? Yes, there is. You can get all electric, or you can get electric and gas. The electric and gas, now if you go with electric and gas, you only need to run a 14-2 wire to it, which draws very minimal electric, so it's like a light bulb, and then you got gas going to it. If you go all electric, it's going to be a 10-2 wire, which, you know, is 220. It's going to draw a little more juice, but again, it's only going on when you use it. So you're going to save money all the way around. Now with the tankless, you do have to service it. If, like Harry said, if you have well water, you got to service it. Maybe once every year, they come over and you call a plumber and they'll drain it, they'll service it, they'll run something through the system just to clean it out. But that's it. You should get 15, 20 years easy out of a tankless. And Navion's the best one, I think. I love Navion.
I do too, and it's been good to us, and we've never had a problem. Some people have this belief that if you have a larger family, somebody's not going to have hot water. It's never let us down. I love it. I love not paying for something that you're not using. But give people an idea. Maybe the reason people still go with the tank version is they hear, well, this tankless is how many thousands of dollars? And this traditional water heater is how much is that? Under $1,000? So talk about the math, because you also have to consider the energy costs.
Yes, that's a very good question, Howard. Very good question. Everybody says, I want to go with a tankless. A lot of people tell me, I want to go with a tankless, but it's too much money. Well, if you look at what it costs for a tank water heater versus a tankless, you're probably going to spend between $2,000 and $3,000 more to go from a tank to a tankless. But over time, you're going to get that money back plus. You're going to get that money back probably in the first year what you're saving on your electric and your gas.
So you're invested.
You're invested. Yeah. And the tankless is the way to go because you're not going to have no chance of floods. You know, when you got a tank water heater, Harry, and you got well water, that's coarse. Well water's coarse. There's a chance it's going to eat out the bottom of your tank water heater. If you have a 40-gallon tank, it's going to eat out, you're going to have water all over it.
You just gave me flashbacks. I guess this goes back over 20 years ago, maybe even 25. Our downstairs level was a raised floor because the downstairs was colder than the upstairs. So they raised it to just make it a warmer environment and not be as cold as it would be otherwise. Well, don't you know, the water heater was leaking and we didn't know it. And because the floor was raised, water was going, bad things were happening for an extended period. One day I saw a wall that looked a little mushy and it was wet. And then I started looking around and we had a big problem on our hands. We wound up literally tearing back down the stud a den 2 full bedrooms and a bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
All because of a tank water heater.
Yes. Well, see, that's the thing, Harry.
Wow.
With the tank water heater, you never know when you're going to walk in, you're
Yep.
going to have water everywhere.
Yep.
A tankless, you never have it flush. Never. Only thing will happen with a tankless, when it finally does go, it just won't work. But you're not going to have water all over your floor and causing thousands of
Yep.
damage.
By the way, there is a very inexpensive thing that I would encourage all of Jim and Frank's viewers and listeners to consider. We did it in our home. All you have to do is get half your home destroyed because of water damage, and you get creative. There is this amazing little, it's almost disc shaped, and it just plugs in to a regular outlet. And anytime there's water, this thing trips the main water in the house and the water stops. If we would have had that, minimal investment, we would not have lost half of our home. So that's another thing, just as a backup, that you can do.
And that brings me to something I would like to, a point that I would like to make to you guys, the consumer. You should know where your water shut-off is. You have to know. If you don't know, call a plumber, have him come over and have him show you. But you have to know where that water shut-off is, because somewhere along the line, as long as you're living in that house, you're going to have a leak. You're going to need to shut your water off. So that's a very good point. You have to know where your water shut-off is. If you don't know where it's at, call a plumber, have him show you.
Absolutely, because that actually happened to me a month ago, and you know, me being a contractor,
It happened to you.
It just happened to me,
Right.
And I actually, we were talking about it,
Right.
And you know, we found it, but I meant, you know, we saw a bill that was ridiculous, and here it was the flap.
It was the flap, right?
We had a plumber,
Right.
He came out and he told us.
There you go.
We fixed it. Bill went down a month ago.
Yeah.
Now, Frankie, you had a question about siding you asked earlier about water damage.
Yes, we actually are
what
going
was
to
that
go look at
question?
a property in Ocean City now that they had a leak upstairs. After everything has been fixed, actually the job is complete right now. But the homeowner showed me bubble on that is outside that same area, Jim.
See, that's the thing. When you have a leak, you don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's going to go down the walls. You don't know if it's going to go on your floor. If you have tile in your bathroom, you got a leak in the bathroom, it's going to branch out. It's going to go down the walls. All right, so that's why it's very important to know how to shut your water off. And the answer to your question, Frank, when you guys, for siding, if you have vinyl siding, and your vinyl siding is starting to buckle, 9 out of 10 times you have a water problem. You have water getting behind the siding that's causing it to buckle.
Okay. Because it actually looks angry right now.
That's what it is, yeah.
Jim, as you know, and I know Frank knows this all too well as well, older construction, copper pipes. Again, I have well water. I've had well water for the last more than 30 years. You know, if you have copper pipes, at some point you're going to get pinhole leaks.
Oh, absolutely.
And they can be anywhere. They can be in the wall, and just like Jim, that's what reminded me of it. What Jim was outlining just came all flooding back to me as well. Is the standard now, I don't know if it's PVC, but I see, because I love shows like yours, the home improvement shows, and I see these ways that they will just put a whole home together, not copper anymore, but all rubber or PVC type water connections. Are you a believer in that?
Absolutely. The newest thing now is I build homes, and we use very little copper. Very little copper, Harry. Reason why? Copper will last if you don't have coarse water.
Yeah.
If you have water that's coarse, like a well water, it will eat copper over time. It will eat copper and will have pinholes all over the place. They have something now that's called PEX that they have made over the last 10 years, and the PEX is like outstanding. Let me explain why the PEX is so good. PEX is really good because in the wintertime when it's cold, the PEX will contract, okay? Or no, it will expand. It will expand to the point where it won't break, but it'll expand. In the summertime when it's hot, the pipe will contract, but it won't break. The PEX will flex and contract, and that's what it's made for. So, and if the water is coarse over 30 years, it won't do anything to the PEX. That's why everybody's going with PEX now.
I see it, and I'm such a believer in it. We have an older home, so we have copper pipes. We noticed early on, these are things I just didn't know, I learned from experience. And all of a sudden I saw a little bit of bluish color in the tub area. And I found out that was literally the copper being eaten by the well water. So what we did, we had a water softening system installed, salt or whatever component of your plumber's choice, and that resolves the issue. You have much softer water, and you don't have the pipes being eaten alive.
The only PEX that we put in, Harry, is if we're putting in a water meter. If they got city water, we got to put a water meter in. The inspector will make us, right before we run the PEX into the meter, we have to put a piece of copper. So from the PEX to the meter, we have to use copper.
But you can always see that.
Yeah, but that's the only copper in the whole house.
Yeah.
That's it.
Huge.
So actually, I actually have a question for you, Harry. I know when me and Jim got this podcast together, it's all about helping the servers out, making the right educational decision of what they can do for their projects. So my question would be to you is that when you got into the news and giving people out, what are you doing it for the same reason? I mean, I'm sure you're doing it for the same reason, but what got you started?
I fell in love with talk radio because it's truly an industry that can help people. If someone's house burns down, we raise money at the Early in the Morning charity, and we'll write a grant, because we had our home burned down to the ground when I was a child. So when I hear that, I'm very sensitive about that, and I think about what it's like that first night when you don't even have a toothbrush. You've lost everything. You have nothing. So a $5,000 check that you can go run to the bank, and now you have $5,000 in your pocket, and you can go get the essentials that you need. Maybe you need to rent a hotel room if you don't have family or friends. You might need everything. You need brush, toothbrush, toothpaste, you need everything. So we're able to help people. I'm also very big, and I know it's a core foundation of Galaxy Construction One and Jersey Boys Painting and Power Washing in terms of relationship building. You build relationships. I've always believed, people ask about the business side of things sometimes. If you build a relationship, the business side takes care of itself.
Well, that's a very valid point.
Like, isn't your best business card a satisfied client that tells someone, these are honest people, they did a great job in my home, you should bring them into your home? A satisfied client is your best business card.
Harry, I would have to say, over the years, repeat customer makes up about 65 to 70% of my customers. Repeat customers. Jobs that we did for them, they went back and do another job. The reason why is they know what kind of quality of work we're doing. They know what kind of material we're using. They know when we say we're going to be there, we show up. When we're going to be done, we're done. The price is normally right in the range of what they could afford, because when I draw up my contracts, I try to keep my price where it's affordable. I don't try to hurt nobody. I give a fair price, good work. Frank does the same thing, fair price, good work. And that's how we build our companies.
So I want to actually add to this. I want everybody to know that, I'm sure you guys know, if you live in this area, Fresh Start Church on Ocean Heights Avenue, Hurley Boys in Galaxy, I basically am going to help them paint their building, and I basically give them at cost.
Yeah.
And I can't mention it right now, but there's a painting company that might be donating the paint. And as soon as they give us a thumbs up that they're going to be on board with us, I will definitely, promote that.
Yes.
That company for helping us
Yes,
out.
we're right now in the process of looking for sponsors.
So we do give back.
As soon as we get sponsors, we'll name them. Right.
Frank, I really appreciate that question that you share, because it really is all about relationship building. Jim and Frank, I know that you deal with this all the time. I look at things like in life we have need buyers, they absolutely need it. Something's flooded, something broken, but then there's also want buyers. What is like the big want right now that people want, Jim, in their home?
In their home, well,
Something they don't necessarily need. Because, for example, if you say the kitchen, and I know because we just did a show together, you guys can do, between the two of you, beautiful doors, brand new. You could do just cabinet refacing. You can do all that. But you don't need that. That other door was probably working. You wanted that. What do people want?
Well, every time I go into a customer's house, and they tell me, they want, most of the time I hear, I need a new kitchen, I need a new bathroom. And I always say to them, okay, I know that's what you need. How's your roof? Is your roof, how old's your roof? Because that's where you really got to start with the roof. If the roof is in good shape, then you can basically go from there. You check your windows. If your windows are good, because you don't want to have bad windows, because if you do, you're going to leak air. You're going to lose heat in the winter time. If your roof's good, your windows are good, then you want to start moving down to your heater, your air conditioner, your hot water tank, or tankless, whatever you decide you're going to do. Then from there, you go to the kitchen, your bathrooms, and your floor.
Love that.
That's the way you really should do it, because if you get a brand new kitchen, you have a leaky roof.
Jim, you raised such a great point about windows. I think a lot of people don't realize if you have an older home, the builder-grade windows that you have, they're likely no longer square because the house has settled. No matter how good the construction is, the house is going to settle. You probably have difficulty opening them. They're single pane. These windows of today are next level. And you use the term, and it's exactly precisely correct, air gaps. Air gaps are a killer in terms of energy efficiency. That's a great project to do new windows.
Well, right now with the windows, we install vinyl windows with dual pane window, low argon. If you want high argon, we can get that, but normally it's low argon. And then windows, compared to windows that were installed 15, 20 years ago, it's like night and day. The windows back then, they're single pane, they're mostly wood. So, the wood, when it gets wet, it swells up, it warps. And then, you're going to lose some heat in the wintertime. You're going to lose coolness in the summertime. The new thing is to go with vinyl windows.
I could not agree more. We replace every window, and I noticed two things. Energy consumption is dramatically improved. Also, your home is quieter. Which is always a pleasure.
Yes.
And they're made to tilt and clean, and they're just made well, where you're not fighting to open a window or fighting to close it again. So that's a good project to consider.
And a lot of people, what they don't really realize is when somebody's going to put a window in for you, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, I'll take that window and I put a new window in." Well, it's not that easy. You take a window out. If the window framing is the wood is no good, you have to take it out and reframe it. 9 out of 10 windows you take out, you have to reframe. You have to do something. Maybe you're not going to reframe the whole window. You might reframe a piece of it, and then to mount the window level, it's got to be mounted level. And then that's where Frankie comes in. Once we mount the window and we insulate around the window, we put the trim up. Frankie comes in, he seals it with a sealer, and he paints it. Frank, you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so as you know, caulking is very important.
Very important.
And doing it the right way. I've seen some pretty bad caulking, and I'm sure
if you don't caulk it, you know as well as I do, it's gonna leak air.
And we always talk about that. I mean, prep is
Number one.
Without the prep, and that's where we come in, and we're the finishing touch.
Yes.
Yes. We're going to seal everything for you. We're going to make sure that everything's cut in. Your job looks great.
Your job makes my company's work, look better. That's why I always say, Gallus Construction and Jersey Boys Painting, we're like cornflakes in the milk. We have a very good relationship, and we go hand in hand. Our work goes hand in hand. So, Harry, did you have any other questions you wanted to bring up?
I want to bring up something that you, Frank, and I have addressed very recently on our Hurley in the Morning program, when we feature you monthly on the program for an hour and 6 minutes. The shower and converting a tub shower of yesteryear into a beautiful, and for those who don't know, but I think by episode 4 you probably do, Jim has a signature Mediterranean style that anybody that goes into your bathroom it's going to have that wow factor. It's going to be amazing. But we did it in our home. I didn't like the idea of stepping up, over, and down, and then the other leg up, over, and down, and then rinse and repeat when you have to get out of the shower at the end of the day. Is that a big project that's worth considering, Jim?
Yes, absolutely. That's like one of the biggest projects that most customers come to me with. It doesn't really matter your age. You could be young and still have trouble getting in and out of the tub. You know, if you got like a tub shower.
Yep.
You know, you got to understand when you're stepping into his tub, the standard tub is 12 inches off the ground. So now you have to step over the tub once, then twice. Versus if you got a walk-in shower, your ribbing is only like maybe 3 inches off the ground. So there's a big difference. And when we do our Mediterranean showers, I always put wherever the bench is in that Mediterranean shower. So if, you know, for the bench is on the right side, bench on the left side, wherever that bench is, I always put a safe handy block right there so they can grab it, walk in, because you know when the floor gets wet, it could be slippery. A lot of times I go with Mosaic or I go with River Rock Harry, where you know it kind of like melts to your foot so you could grip it. But even with that, you could slip. So I always put one bar right there so you can walk in, you can hold on, sit down, and then another bar to the right of the box or the seat. So when you go to get up, you pull yourself up. When you're getting ready to go out, you grab onto this bar. There's no slipping, no chances of getting hurt.
I want to bring up what I'll call an evolution type question. Days gone by, and there's people I'm sure right now watching Jim and Frank's show that know what I'm talking about. Days gone by, old-fashioned claw tub. And they're actually, from just if you like old fixtures and things like that, it's a pretty cool item if you want to do something retro. But that would be the standard, and then you would probably have a pipe that would go up, and a shower head of some kind would pop out, and you'd have a curtain rod or something like that, surround curtain, or one that would cover the wall on one side, and away you go. You have your tub, and you have your shower. Then they got cute and thought, hey, let's do these enclosure things, kind of snap together the walls and everything, and you actually have the shower and the tub in almost, it's probably more than one piece, but it looks like one piece. Then, no, that's still stepping over a tub, and you risk falls, and like Jim said, this is not an elderly question. This is if you have a disability. Some people aren't that coordinated. And young people, this just in, breaking news on this great program that Jim and Frank build the Beyond the Bill. You have young people that also slip and fall.
Oh,
so this is not just an elder question or a disabled individual question, which brings us back to these great showers of today that you build that answer all these questions.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I see with the consumer, the complaints that I get, is this is a mitigating factor that nobody really considers. When you're stepping in over a shower, you turn the water on, and most of the time the shower head is coming from the side. When you step in the shower, the water's hitting you right in the face. Now you got water hitting you in the face, and you're trying to step over the top. Versus a Mediterranean shower that my company actually does is you only got 3 inches off the floor. You step in, there's a bar, you're holding on, and now I always do the rainbow shower where the water comes straight down, so it's not hitting you in the face. So when you go in, you don't have no water hitting you in the face until you step under it, and now it's a lot safer because you don't have anything hitting you directly in your face and taking your attention away from where you're stepping.
Here's another innovation that you do all the time, Jim, and I was very interested when you first taught me about this, and that is the color-coded, because from a safety standpoint, water has no color. You don't know if that's scalding hot, unless you're steam or something, but you don't know if it's scalding hot or freezing cold. However, you defeated that.
Yes, I perfected this. I always install in my Mediterranean bathrooms a 16-inch shower head. It's called LED. It has all the colors of the temperature of the water. So when you turn your water on, if the water's cold, it's blue. If the water's lukewarm, it's green. If the water is hot, it's red. That's a very good added feature because as soon as you turn the water on, you know exactly what the temperature of your water is. There's no chance of somebody taking a shower before you get in, you turn it on, and the water's hot and you get burnt.
And you very well, it all depends on the individual, but I know ours is set at 125 degrees. If you have your water heater set at 120 or 125 degrees, you don't want to take a hit of that.
Well, see, that's a perfect question right there, Harry, because if you got a tankless water heater, even a tank water heater, same thing. If you run that tank water heater or tankless, you run it for any length of time, that water is going to be hot. So as soon as you shut that water off and you get out and 5 minutes later somebody jumps in, that water is still going to be hot. So you're not going to know if you don't have an LED there to tell the temperature of water. You're going to turn it one step on and you're going, you're going to get burnt. So that's why I always throw it in there. It's an added feature, Harry. So it's to protect if you have young kids, if you have somebody that's elderly. As soon as you turn on, you know the temperature of your water.
I think this is something that your viewers should know about the quality assurance of Galaxy Construction One, and by extension, I mean Jersey Boys Painting and Power Washing as well. And it is this: you have standards. For example, you finish a job, and you don't just take off and fold out of the door. You have, if there's a punch list or a final inspection and things like that, you stand right behind that work.
Oh, absolutely. We give a 1-year warranty on all workmanship. That's required by the state of New Jersey. And then warranty on the material. So, for example, if it's a roof we're putting on, 1-year workmanship from Galaxy Construction for all workmanship, and you get a 25 or 50-year warranty on the shingle. So all the materials the same thing. You get a warranty on basically everything. Of course, it changes from different whatever whatever material we're using, but it changes. But there's always a warranty, a 1-year workmanship from Galaxy Construction and Jersey Boys Painting, and then you get a warranty on whatever material we're using. For example, with Frank and I, we both use Sherwin-Williams, and we use their painting. We love their paint. There's a warranty on that paint, right, Frank?
Absolutely. And I even had a customer, I would say that it was about 3 months ago. She was already over the warranty, but we did her shower. We did all the painting. She got a brand new bathroom. We did all the painting, and she noticed that the ceilings, all bubbling up. And we still went over there and we fixed it all up. We don't know what was actually going on. Sometimes, underneath the facility, we scraped it and climbed it. But anyway, fixed it. My point is that we even went over the warranty, Jim. I mean, there's situations where I feel that, for a good customer, we want to go over and beyond, and I think that's what we do.
Well, yeah, like, I'll give you a good example, Frank. I had a customer, I put a roof on 5 years ago, and the warranty's out, because we only give 1 year warranty on workmanship. But 5 years ago, we put the roof on. He had a bad storm. The house was in Ocean City. He had a windstorm come in. The wind got underneath the shingle, ripped some of the shingle. I went back. I told him, I said, listen, just pay for whatever the material is and whatever our labor is, and that's it. We're not charging for nothing else. And that's it. He paid for the material. I handed him the bill for the material. I told him I had 2 guys there for 1 day. Give me X amount of dollars for them. That's it.
That's quality. That's integrity.
Yes.
Character. Jim and Frank, I'd love to hear your answer to this question. There are people out there, and because everybody's got their own television station and info superhighway and all of this, they think they can tackle any project because it's going to be in a video, and so maybe they start to tear something up, and then they realize they're way over their head. And how do you respond to, I'm sure there's times where you say, hey, look, you don't even need me for that. You could do that job. You could put that stopper in the toilet. You don't need me for that. You could get the kit and you could do that. But if somebody tries to do something that's way beyond their skill set, then they call you, you're coming into something that's half torn up and things like that. What do you say about what a homeowner DIY, do-it-yourself, can tackle versus what they need the professional?
Well, that's a very good question, very valid. if you want to try to tackle it on your own, what I advise you to do, whatever project you're going to do, I advise you to Google it, number one. And number two, always consult a professional. Now, I have a buddy that lives out of state, calls me all the time. He always likes to do his own projects. He'll call me and he'll call me and run it by me. I want to do this, and I go over it with him. And then as he's doing it, he'll call me and I direct him in the right direction, so he's able to do his own work. But that's basically how you're going to do it. You got to, whatever you're looking to do, you want to do your due diligence. You want to Google, and then you want to consult a professional if you're going to tackle it on your own.
And for us, I mean, we do have free estimates, so we will come out. And if me and Jim do see something, because I know Jim's character, that's why we click so good. If there is something that you can do, and we're going to tell you, hey, listen, don't even save your money. You could do this. We're going to tell you this because, listen, we're not out. We're here to help you. Yes, we got to make a living, Jim.
Yeah.
But we also, if we can save you a buck, we're going to do that.
Well, absolutely. Like if there's something, if you call me out for this and you say I want to do it myself, I said, no problem. You want my advice? I'll give you some advice on what I think you need to do, and then take the project on your own.
Here's another question for Jim and then Frank. I know this because I've gotten to know you, but I want you to explain to your viewers what makes you, Jim Massaro, and Galaxy Construction One different. And I mean different in a good way. Same question to you, Frank, after Jim.
Okay, basically, I learned a long time ago from my grandparents and my father and mother. They came from Italy. I'm Italian, and my people came from Italy. We came here, and basically they had to work. They had to work hard. And my grandparents always told me, you're going to do work for people. You do it like you're doing it for your own house. When you're doing a job, you do it like it's your house, like you're doing it for yourself. You give a good price, and you give good work, you give good service, and when somebody calls you, you always get back to them. Be very prompt, and that's what I try to do all the time. I try to go by them guidelines.
Actually, I have to touch on this. 13 years ago, I started this business from the ground up, and as far as I was stuck in prices. I was like, okay, what do I charge for this? And to be honest with you, I found out the hard way sometimes that I took some hits, Jim.
Yeah.
I went low because I was new at it.
Right.
Okay. But it was okay for me because you know what? When you stamp something and you actually see the finished product and you stayed in somebody's budget, it made me feel good at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
So as I grew in my business, I realized that I could still be fair, okay, and still be able to make a living and pay my guys without destroying somebody's bank.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to give you high quality. Okay, if you call me, like my family will tell you, Dad never shuts him off. I mean, we talk, sometimes we're talking to my wife right now because we're starting this, and so when I start something, I finish it.
And I think Frank was, because Frank and I, we work hand in hand, and I'm a firm believer, Frankie is too. We use the best material. When you use the best material, the end product it's self-explanatory. You use a very good product, it's going to last, it's going to come out better, and the whole key is to be able to do that and do it in a fashion where you don't outprice yourself or outprice the customer on their budget. And that's the key of being a business.
If you're just tuning in, it is the Beyond the Build podcast starring Jim Massaro, who is the owner and the operator, decades of experience, Galaxy Construction One, and to my left, stage right, your right, is Frank Williams, owner, operator of Jersey Boys Painting and Power Washing. And we know this to be true. I have an expression, I don't lift my friends up by tearing other people down, but we know that people are getting ripped off every day by unscrupulous contractors in some cases. They ask for 100% of the money up front and have other games that they play, take a lot of money, never show up ever again. You go try to find them, you can't, and all of that. Jim, explain legally, professionally, morally, how that should be done.
See, how that should be done by the state of New Jersey, and actually Pennsylvania does the same thing. You're supposed to break down your payments in three. The state requires us to break it down. You get a deposit when signing, you get a deposit after the job, and you get another deposit, you get the balance when the job is completed. Basically, that's the way it's supposed to be done. That's a state requirement in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and that's what I follow. In some jobs, I even break it down in 4 jobs. If it's a larger job, I break it in 4 payments.
So, Captain Obvious, reporting for duty, Captain, but there are people, though, that somebody comes to their home and they want a whole lot more than that. That should be your one and only clue to not do business like that.
Yeah, if somebody comes to your house and they say, give me 50% down and the rest will be done, that law went out about 3 or 4 years ago in the state of New Jersey. State of New Jersey requires all contractors to get a third. 50% down is no good. You can't do it. That's a red flag right there.
The one thing I would like to add to is that I actually just had a customer just told me, I'm at his house right now. We're in the middle of working out the insurance. Gentleman that has another leak in the bathroom, and he says, "Well, you know what? I'm down here now. How about if I just give you the rest?" Now we're only halfway into this. He goes, "I'll just give you. I'll give you the rest of it. I trust you." I said, "Absolutely not." And if he's listening, please make a comment about it. He literally wanted me to take his credit card down and pay me in full. I don't want to do that. I want the job to be done. I want us to do a walkthrough.
Right.
And
Well, you know, Frankie, you know when you're all done, you got to do. There's a touch-up. There's always a punch-out list. You got to do touch-ups. So before you get the balance, you want to go through and make sure everybody's happy. Everybody's got to be happy with the job. Once I do the same thing, he does the same thing. When we're done the job, I walk through, make sure everybody's happy. And then happy, okay, now, I need the balance. And that's basically how it's done.
Jim, you're out there, you're competing against these television commercials that say, hey, and they have big names, famous names. Hey, we're going to come in one day. It's all done. It's all done in one day. What is the expectation if you were going to tear out an old shower tub, combo and put in one of your Mediterranean-style freestanding showers? What's expectation in terms of how long from start to finish?
Okay, basically, when a tear out and a redo usually takes 7 to 10 days. We perfected it. So we get in there normally one day for the demo, another day for prepping as far as moving drain lines and water lines, and then after that it takes 2 days to put the pan in. Actually 1 day to put the pan in. We put the rubber in first, then we put the self-leveler pan in, and then we pour the concrete or the mortar. The stone with the wet paper, we go with mortar, and then we call for inspection for the water test. Once we get the inspection for the water test, then we can start tiling. And then normally we start tiling on the walls. We'll do the floors first, and then we'll go up on the walls.
And you just mentioned the water test. This is what I'm talking about when you're dealing with Jim and with Frank. You're dealing with men with integrity, good character. Aren't there a lot of jobs going on right now? There's no water test.
There's no
They
water
just
test.
away they go.
I would say probably 7 out of 10 contractors never call for a water test. If you ask them, did you do a water test, don't even know what a water test is. But I deal with inspectors all the time, and everything I do is done with inspections. So that's the way to go. Because to be honest with you, somebody could say they could do a bathroom, they could do a wet bed, and they don't really know how to do a wet bed. They do the wet bed, they cut the rubber. I had plenty of contractors that I saw that they put the rubber in, the poraloid, and they cut it. They don't know to fold it over in the corners. If there's an opening, Harry, water will find it. So when you cut a rubber in the corner, water will find that area.
You are absolutely phenomenal and famous for your kitchen recreations. But people do need to eat still and operate. How do you work with families? I mean, their appliances, do they get pulled out and they can still operate like in the middle of the room or something? How do you keep people as much in business as you can but yet you need the space to make the improvement. How do you work it?
Basically, how I work the kitchens is I line everything up. I get all the kitchen cabinets ready to go. When the kitchen cabinets arrive, that's when we do our demo. We do our demo in one day. The cabinets are already there. The next day, I have my cabinet guy come in and starts mounting the cabinets. Once the cabinets, that probably takes a day or two to mount the cabinets. The next day, I have my granite guy come in, take the temp. Takes the temp on the countertop. That takes 2-3 days, and then within 5 days, the kitchen's back up and running.
So I want to add to something on the epoxy, going back to the epoxy, and I want to let supers and customers know, and I have done tons of epoxy garages and basements. There's a lot of advertisement out there saying they can do an epoxy in one day. I don't know if you've heard it, but it's not true. There's no way you can do epoxy garage in one day if you're going to do it right. But I just want everybody to know it's at least 2 to 3 day process to have it done. So you could possibly do it in 2 days if the garage is in good shape, like almost a brand new construction where there's not much prep to do. But it's usually 2 to 3 days.
Any other questions you have?
I can't believe it. We're down to about less than 4 minutes
Yes.
in the show. Well, I mean, not.
I have a toolbox tip when we're all done.
Then I got to leave you time for that. Let me then take this opportunity to thank Jim and thank Frank for the opportunity. It's a privilege to be on your podcast, and I'll come back anytime you'll have me. I've loved the discussion, and I love finding good, honest people that are helping when people need it.
Thank you, Larry.
I love
Thank you
this.
very much.
I've heard of the toolbox tip segment. I love it.
Here's the toolbox tip of the day. Toolbox tip of the day is concrete. I hear over and over and over again from my customers, consumers. I had a guy just had a driveway door, and the guy was supposed to give him 4,000 PSI in the concrete. When you mention PSI in the concrete, most contractors don't even know what PSI is. They'll say, what's PSI? PSI is the strength of the concrete. I've been doing this over 25 years, close to 30 years. I can tell you by looking at the concrete what the PSI is in the concrete. If you see somebody pour concrete for you and it's a real rich green, that's 3,000 PSI. 3,000 PSI. If it looks a little milky, like a kind of like a gray color, that's 4,000 PSI. If they pour it and it's white, it comes out like bright white, that's 5,000 PSI. You don't need to be a contractor to know that. I just educating you guys. Don't let nobody take advantage of you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Harry, thank you so much.
I loved it. Definitely loved it.
All right, Frank.
Love being with you
Thank
guys.
you guys. I hope you guys enjoy the podcast.
Have a good day.